But these kids and the families undergo very strenuous psych evaluations before they even get on puberty blockers. And I
would
feel
argue
like
that's not the case, Jessica. And I know I'm interrupting you, but did you ever see the WPATH files that Michael Schellenberger dropped? And the cast review.
Was this his part of the Twitter files? Like the
no. So the WPATH is this is a little bit different. So you had two things that came out within about a month of each other. So one was the cast review, which was done by the United Kingdom's arguably top pediatrician, who was like at the Royal College of Pediatric Medicine.
Physicians. Yeah.
Forgive me. I haven't looked into it in about 8 months, so I'm iffy, but it had taken her 4 years to do this systemic review. And off of it, she had said that there wasn't enough therapy done, there wasn't enough data, their long-term results of the studies was totally insufficient. And ultimately, she ended up suggesting that in large part, we should not be medicalizing this problem. There was an over-medicalization of it, or this issue, however you want to address it. And then there's this organization called the WPATH, and they consider themselves to be the global authorities on gender-affirming care. And they were the ones that were refuting the cast review. So they were the ones saying, she's wrong, she's wrong, she's wrong. Whistleblowers, through whistleblowers on the inside and FOIA requests, all of this information ended up coming out about how kids and parents didn't really understand that their child was going to be sterilized for life, or when they were interrupted in stage 10 or 2 of puberty, they would never have an orgasm again, and they were engaging in, and you could define this however you would like, surgeries where teenagers were ending up with both sets of genitalia. It is some dark, evil.
Yeah.
And it's so wrong to me. And again, I agree with you at 18, if you want to do this, and also when you have the mental capacity to wrap your head around it, by all means, as long as you understand, like, listen, you'll never have a kid of your own. I even think 18 is too young to really understand what that means, but
we can't say you can go to war, but you can't do this.
Listen, I'm with you on 18. I get it. I agree with you. I also think that when your body is fully developed, so there are issues with brain development, bone development, and puberty blockers impacting literally their bone density, teeth crack in your skull. I mean, it is just, I don't think it's as small of an issue as you think it is. There are thousands of kids that have been transitioned over the past decade who regret it now. And Abigail Schreier has actually done a great job of exposing this in her work, but I don't think it's as small of an issue as you think it is. I also know it's a billion-dollar business. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
100%. And I think doctors are hot to prescribe no matter what it is. They're like, oh, like ADHD, gender dysphoria, all of it. And I'm not trying to minimize it, because I think it is one of those cases akin as well to when someone who's here illegally brutally murders someone, where you have to make a big deal out of it. And I think that it's worth it. I was just saying, I think a lot of the examples that you're talking about, especially if you're talking about a board from the United Kingdom, is international. And I'm saying in the US, I believe it is more stringent than that. And either way, and we can pull up the exact numbers about how many, I know the Times has covered this extensively. The narrative became that California, for instance, was welcoming people from other states to come there and have trans surgeries, like as if kids could just show up and get their whatever lopped off, go to Disneyland and come home. Right. And it is so much more complicated than that. And I feel like in the heat of an election, especially with a messenger like Trump, who lacks specificity in a lot of what he says, I'm going to be generous and say it like that.
No, don't be generous. I want the true criticisms.
The true criticism is he throws a lot of shit at the wall and sees what sticks. And because he says so much so often that he can get out of it pretty easily. I mean, even what's going on about, lowering prices. For instance, I'm going to do this on day one. I'm going to bring together all the bureaucratic heads, right? And your price is going to drop right away. Your gas is going to be under $2. The cost of eggs, I will fix this. I alone can fix fix this. And this is what he has been saying for 9 years. And again, I tip my hat to him. It is incredible what he has pulled off. But because there's so much out in the ether, he doesn't have to be held to account for specific things. And like with the trans surgeries for undocumented people in prison, right? That he says, Kamala swore she checked a box on an ACLU form in like 2018 or 2019 that said she'd be supportive of that. That was a mistake. You should always read those forms when you're signing them. But there was somebody who was getting the meds, first of all, as a prisoner in Donald Trump's America during his first term, who the surgery ended up getting delayed. I think it was completed in 2021 or 2022 when Biden was in office, but it was authorized under the Trump administration. You would never know that from listening to Trump talk about these issues or from watching that Charlemagne ad, which he was hugely upset about, right? That he became the kind of face for the ad that ended up being the most consequential in swaying the election. I think it was 83% of swing voters said that that ad was meaningful to them in making their decision.
Wow.
So that's what I'm talking about in terms of the gender issue, right?
Okay.
And that, again, not minimizing it, just saying that I think it gets amplified to a level where people don't know what's actually going on. And it's complicated and it takes a lot of research. And it's part of why I take what I do so seriously, because I know, especially if I'm 1 on 4, that I have to have all of my ducks in a row, right? Yeah. If I'm going to go out there and say, oh no, actually, this is the real number of border crossings, or actually this happened under Trump. Like you talk about the censorship online. I find that people play fast and loose with the timelines of all of this. Like Donald Trump was president until early 2021, period, end of story. And every administration works with social media companies to make sure that the fact checkers are out there. I mean, maybe no more since Mark Zuckerberg has been red-pilled, but that was going on under Trump. And a lot of the main conspiracy theories surrounding COVID itself, the vaccine, et cetera, happened under the Trump administration. And no one acknowledges that. And that's hugely frustrating to me. That doesn't mean that I don't think that the Biden team may have leaned on the social media companies more. But when people say,